Everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at NIO. So there's been rumors going around. NIO's planning a small budget EV for the European market expansion. A new affordable sub-brand, codename Firefly, will launch next year. This happens to be big news. So Chinese EV giant NIO plans on building its initial Europe success with a new lineup of affordable compact cars. However, given that NIO's premium status, they will be sold under a different brand name, a budget-friendly sub-brand. This is codenamed Firefly, and it's currently in development and will launch in 2024. The Firefly brand first model will reportedly be affordable hatchback with a starting price of under 30,000 euros or $33,000. It will have battery swapping capabilities, meaning a depleted pack will be able to be replaced by a fully charged one in just around 5 minutes. Now, Autocars also wrote an article about this, and apparently this is a focus on small electric cars from £23,000. New value brand codenamed Firefly. So this news has been taking the internet by storm, to say the least. The NIO Group is working on two projects, Alps and Firefly, for two affordable standalone brands. Both are working titles, with final brand names yet to be decided. Now, Project Firefly is focused on developing a new brand for European market entry. Now, it's also said it's likely to pitch it against the forthcoming Volkswagen ID2. Now, this is another story as well. Volkswagen ID2 is almost like a replacement for the Golf or a replacement for the Polo. But it's something new by Volkswagen, of course. They're working with their ID brands. Now, the CEO of NIO, William Lee, he's quoted as saying, and I quote, "In Europe, there is definitely a higher demand for smaller vehicles than in China." Apparently, this is not always a popular thing in China. So NIO will launch its first European-focused model, an estate version of the ET5 Saloon later this year. But that brand's premium focus means it's unlikely to expand into compact cars. Ling Hon Quinn said the new brand would start from Europe and then expand into other markets, including China. That's really interesting. So the new brands, they would intend on starting this from Europe, not even in China. So they want to build it in Europe, market it in Europe, and sell it in Europe. That's a very interesting strategy by NIO. Very interesting by NIO. Because obviously they're doing their vast amount of manufacturing right now in China, or all of their manufacturing is in China. If they intend on launching more brands, new brands in Europe, this all means that they're perhaps working on factories in Europe, which means that these factories could accommodate to not just build NIO vehicles, but vehicles for its new brands, such as Alps, such as Firefly. So if I'm correct, if this means that NIO intends on opening new factories, especially in Europe, then I'm all for it. He also added, for compact cars, the proportion of battery cost will be bigger than a battery pace in another car. But this is a challenge universally. It's not only for NIO. Other compact models in Europe are facing a similar challenge. He went on to say, this is all about competition, and competition is always relative. If we can autoplay somehow in product features with what NIO stands for, with our power grid and other services, if the overall experience we can provide for future European users is better in some areas, then we can establish our competitiveness. Then we can get our fair share. The Firefly and Alps EV would feature both NIO battery swapping technology, which would allow users to replace their batteries in less than 5 minutes at a special station in place of charging. But because the vehicles will be smaller, they will be unable to use the NIO swap stations, requiring a separate network to be built. That's fascinating. So it will be built with a similar NIO battery swap technology, but it will perhaps require a different kind of station. It seems a little bit unnecessary for me personally. It's unnecessary if you're going to build all of these swapping stations, yet they can't accommodate for all of your vehicles. So I'm thinking, over time, it looks like NIO will need to upgrade these swapping stations so they can accommodate for other vehicles as well, because this is vastly different from a charging station. NIO is perhaps the only EV company that's making vehicles with batteries that can be swapped out. So they're doing something vastly different. Now, Lee believes NIO can get ahead of the competition through its innovative battery swapping services. NIO plans on having 1,000 swap stations outside of China by the end of 2025. NIO's first European model, ET5 wagon, will launch later this year, available with a 75 kilowatts, 100 kilowatts, or 150 kilowatts battery pack. The ET5 wagon was created with the European buyer in mind. It will go on sale in continental Europe first, with China following a month later. So it's funny that this article says that it's NIO's first European model. But what does that mean? Will the vehicle be built in Europe, then be sold in Europe and shipped out into China? Because that would be incredible. So if they intend to launch this vehicle later this year, the factory must already be in somewhat of construction or somewhat progress into leading into construction, because production is just around the corner. But I've not heard anything about there being a European factory for NIO. So how can NIO build vehicles in Europe? How could this be a NIO first European model? Because they're selling other vehicles in Europe, but they're not built in Europe. So they're perhaps not seen as a European model. This vehicle, the ET5 wagon, is seen as a European model. Seems like it will be built in Europe. Why would they build these vehicles in China and only sell them in Europe the first month and only sell them in China a month later? It doesn't make full sense. So I need to look into this some more, try to do some more research to find out what exactly is going on. Do NIO actually have a factory in Europe? Is this been announced? Is it a secret project? Because that would be incredible. I would be more excited for NIO if they had a European factory, if they have a factory in the North America or South America. More factories, more production. That's what I want. Now, the market recently opened less than an hour ago, and this has been the NIO share for the last 5 days of trading. Now, I must say, and this is not financial advice, I have bought more share. I do like NIO. I will do some more research into whether or not they've got a European factory, or if they're building a European factory, or if they're leasing one or opening one. That I need to know. That would change a lot of things for me as a buyer. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. Remember to check out our Monument website. This is our blog. We post weekly articles. Check it out. Subscribe to our newsletter. We send out weekly updates. This is the best way to stay up to date with our articles, is to subscribe to our newsletter. And it's one of the best ways to support this channel, is by subscribing to the channel and to the newsletter. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.